Welcome everyone to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host, and this is Clone Wars Special Report. And with me for this and every episode of The Clone Wars is Kyle Gould.
Hello and welcome. It's me, your clone droid relations. They're dying, Marie-Claire. They're dying. Oh, curse my ability to pause. I'm not fast enough.
There's so many deaths. So that was what the peoples wanted you to say?
Yes, that was what the one person who responded this week wanted me to say.
Oh no, you need to like add me to those.
I mean, let's be fair.
tweets.
I posted that thing like 10 minutes ago. So
Oh, you posted it 10 minutes ago. Okay, fair. So I mean, whoever was quick on their fingers got.
It was none other than Wit and Folly herself.
Oh, really? It was Ty that asked you to do C-3PO?
Yes.
Your C-3PO is not bad, and he is your favorite character. Is
Something
he not?
like that. Yes.
He's your favorite droid, at least.
Yes. C-3PO is my favorite droid and my favorite character in Star Wars.
Okay. So, I mean, nail on the head there for choices for you to do. We are here to talk about The Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 4, the end of the Bad Batch arc, which is called Unfinished Business.
It's more like finished business.
Yeah, they finish the business on an axis, right?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Like maybe it should have been called Taking Care of Business, and then we could all sing that song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Slide into a hallway with a pickle or a cucumber as a microphone, just wearing a white shirt.
Isn't it a remote that's in his hand?
Well, it depends. I was using the Alf from the 1980s reference.
Oh, not the Risky Business.
not Tom Cruise.
Is that the song from Tom Cruise from Risky Business? I don't remember. Okay. We've gotten off track. All right. So, as the fourth and final episode of our Bad Batch arc, what were your general feelings?
General impressions. And my feelings about this are it's over too quick. This is the arc you needed. You needed to spend 80 plus minutes telling us.
It's interesting, hey, to choose this one.
I liked Echo in the first 6 seasons for what we got of him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that his loss and disappearance had an impact on Rex. And bringing him back and having him still there does create more tension dramatically for Rex. I just feel like it gets lost.
So what did this episode tell us? Echo had no choice but to be a tool of the Separatist army, right?
Yeah, I think like a screwdriver.
I mean, he's got a screwdriver on his arm now, so it's like it's one of those like computer interface things, right? Yeah. So he had no choice but to be, a weaponized part of the Separatist army. Thematically, if you do evil things because they are your choice, or you have been sort of tricked or coerced or brought into doing dark things for the wrong side, thematically in 99% of Star Wars.
Sorry, you needed to say Clone Force 99%.
Clone Force 99% of Star Wars. That means that redemption is possible. If you are a bad guy from the get-go, redemption is not possible. If you're a Palpatine, if you're Sheev Palpatine, if you are, a cloned Snoke, you're evil to the bone. Apparently everything is Palpatine though. All the evil in the galaxy, which metaphorically, yes, that is true. Echo had no choice but to serve the bad guys in his situation, and he went through a redemption and atonement kind of mini cycle because he came back and people didn't believe that he was good. Like Crosshairs was like, he's been plugged into that machine. And this was exactly the conversation that we had at the end of last episode, which was like, what does this mean? Does that mean that there's some programming in him too that has retained? And he spends the entire episode showing, no, I'm with the good guys.
He really only has to tell 2 people that.
I mean, he has to tell Anakin and Rex, and
But
that
Anakin and Rex already trust and believe in him.
I guess, yeah, it's like Mace and
even Mace says, if the trooper has a plan, I'd like to hear it.
Well, yeah. So it's just crosshairs.
It's just crosshairs and Tech. Tech especially.
Oh, yeah. Tech also was like, oh yeah. Tech was also like, oh, can you trust this thing? But it was sowing dissent, and it was making Rex have to defend him.
Yeah, it was so cool. We were in scene 2 in Tech's. They're standing there they're about to board the ship, and Tech says he's not too sure about how things happen. He doesn't trust Echo and doesn't know where his loyalties lie. And so it was basically the entire first season of Homeland.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah.
Except not, because Echo doesn't ever do even anything that's remote.
Anything that's questionable, except for the fact, okay, so later on when he turns all the armies, like his strategy is to turn all the armies on the Jedi, then he gets questioned momentarily. He's like, no, wait, I'm going to disable them all. And they're like, oh, okay, yes, you have a plan. Okay.
As much questioning as you can possibly do in a 22-minute episode
I know.
Of cartoon animation.
But the thematic choice of showing redemption and living atonement was still there, which is very on brand for, not really Star Wars, because living atonement is not something that they do very often. However, I think it's just still really interesting that as much as it's like an undercurrent to the episode, it's still there. They're still doing a redemption arc, even though he was certainly, worthy of redemption, because none of this was his choice. But I think that there's something to say about, is it ever really anybody's choice that who's a victim of circumstance? I don't know. There's a lot there that is really interesting to think about thematically. Overall, it felt like it moved along at a pretty good pace. I don't particularly like the character of Mace, but he has a really good scene later on that I really do want to talk about later. We can talk about later when when we get to that point. R.I.P. Admiral Trench, finally.
Well, first, R.I.P. 3 trench arms.
I mean, the robotic ones.
If we're counting.
Do we count them as individual droids?
That was my question. I'm starting to wonder, especially when the ships early on and the fight's about to start and the ships are in their little marching formation. I don't really know why droids feel the need to go on marching
they could just be deactivated.
Right? The only reason they do processional marching like that in the military is just to keep troops occupied and doing things.
Yeah, and moving, right?
So is that what they're doing to these droids? Because it seems pretty monotonous.
Seems odd.
It does, but then they all take off into the air really, really coolly. Well, did we count them?
Those are all droids. Yeah, they're individual droids. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
If we count Trench's arms, does that mean Anakin's hand has some sort of droid-like?
Yeah. Wow. He's partial droid in the eyes of droids.
But is there some sort of robotic element of intelligence associated with the hand, or is it all
This is becoming way too complex of a conversation.
So anyway, R.I.P. Trench arms.
R.I.P. Trench arms. And Trench himself, because he gets stabbed in the heart.
I'm not really going to R.I.P. Trench. Guy deserved it.
Is his heart actually where Anakin stabbed him?
Absolutely. You got to see him confirmed die. He died on camera, not off camera.
Okay.
Well,
he died once before on camera.
But this time he gets run through. He stands there and then he says, "See you later, Trenches." Trench grabs at himself, turns, and falls dramatically lifeless to the ground.
Okay, fine.
How much more?
They really wanted to make sure that we knew that Admiral Trench was dead.
Yes. And then the dreadnought blows up.
Oh, yeah, the dreadnought does blow up. Yeah. No, he's dead.
Yeah.
He dead this time.
And then all the other ships blow up.
Yeah, that was weird.
Wasn't it? I mean, I have to say, I was in love with the fact that all of the ships were at weird angles from each other and they weren't all in straight uniform procession, because they really thought about that over the last decade as to how space works.
Yeah, they were kind of at weird angles. Yeah.
Not like how in the early versions of Star Trek The Next Generation where two ships would meet up and they'd be literally bow to bow. Mm-hmm. It's really? That's how that happens? And it was gorgeous to see that. And then they all just randomly blow up from the push of a single button.
I think that might be the contingency plan that Trench had. He had one thing that blew up his whole fleet. Yeah. He he talked about, he monologued about how his his thing is to blow up stuff that he can't control.
Yes.
So that was on brand for him. I'm okay with it.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. So let's get into the episode. So in general, I did really like this episode. We're going to spend a little bit of time. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the episode, and then we're going to talk about the arc overall. Kind of what it said about Star Wars, I think, is probably a really good thing to dig into. And then, we'll do a little mini talk about what's coming up because it's going to be a brand new arc, which is cool.
Sounds great. So, trust placed in another is trust earned.
So, this is really interesting. This goes back to an odd story about, who was it? John Adams. I think. Okay. I think it was John Adams. It might have been, who's the other guy?
George Washington?
No, it was Benjamin Franklin.
Okay. But nonetheless, there's a story about an early politician who, it could have been Jefferson, could have been Franklin, could have been John Adams.
Yes, Thomas Jefferson for the book.
Well, he asked somebody.
Yeah.
So he knew that somebody out there
didn't like him.
Yep, absolutely felt that they were on opposite sides of politics. They could not come to an agreement on anything, but he knew quite a bit about this individual, and he went out and he wrote him a nice, lovely letter that said, I am aware of a book in your library, and I know that we have had our differences, but if you could see it to loan me the book, I would be in your debt. And the fellow sent him the book, and immediately it changed his way and manner and how he treated and spoke with the person who wrote the letter asking for the book. And if it was Franklin or Jefferson, whoever it was, conjectured that when you owe people, it doesn't do what you think it does. It doesn't create a sense of you owing them and they need to cash that favor back in. It actually means that person is much more willing to continue to do you favors.
Yeah,
rather than to get you to do a favor for them.
And actually what it does is it creates a sense of value that they think that you have value. And so they start to value you for the potential return of favor. It's just, it's a really, really interesting way of viewing things to say asking for help and asking for assistance is not a thing that should be looked down on.
And it is called the Ben Franklin effect.
Oh, interesting. So it was Ben Franklin.
Yes, it's a proposed psychological phenomenon, and it's cited in Dale Carnegie's best-selling book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
So, yes.
Could be true, could be not true. Probably true. They wrote letters and they kept all those.
I can say, though, that I have both experienced its effect upon me and seen its effect upon others as well. I have a couple of friends that I do things for, and even though I know that they owe me,
tons
a night in jail for a murder cover-up, I do know that I am always more willing to give to them than I believe they would ever be willing to give unto me. And there are definitely friends out there who I don't do much for, but they are constantly available and willing to lend a hand at the drop of a hat. So,
and I think the key is when you can figure out how to have that bond in that relationship with each other.
Yes. Yeah. So how does that lead back to trust placed in another is trust earned?
So when you're as the person who's doing the favor for the person, it is trust earned to you.
Right.
Yeah. It's just really interesting because it's it's reverse what you would think.
Yeah. Trust isn't really a
earned.
Two-way street. It's really two one-way streets.
It is two one-way streets. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is because it's not because you could trust somebody who, you always do things for, and they always ask you for things. You could trust that person, but they might not trust you.
Right. If I'm always the one who is, if I'm always the one that you are able to rely upon, that says nothing about my ability to rely on you.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Rex is always going to look out for Echo. He's always going to try to find Echo, think of Echo first, do what needs to be done for Echo.
Not the reverse, necessarily.
We haven't seen any of that yet. We haven't seen the other half of that one-way street.
Yeah.
And we get that this episode. But then what happens at the end?
He leaves.
Yeah.
He wants him to stay. Rex wants him to stay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rex has probably already planned out the bunk next to his so that they can chat into the into the night.
He had already made it up.
Yeah, he probably had a computer interface already mounted to the side of the headboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he could Borg charge. I assume he's got a lot of machinery that needs charging.
Yeah, and they've shown in the past that cybernetics needs to be recharged and whatnot, because isn't it Luke's hand that's getting like a recharge, or was it Anakin's hand that's getting the recharge with the 2 cables that then get withdrawn and he puts the glove on?
I don't know if I remember that, but maybe. And I mean, droids need charging. They fall apart if they're not near civilization. So
Trench's arms are like, if you don't mind us, sir, we're going to power down for the night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do you plug in your cybernetic hand at night, just like your iPhone, or do you have like one of those charging pads that you could just like lay your hand on?
I laugh, and we talk about this in lighthearted fashion, but this is a really relevant thing in the current dawning age of cybernetics, because I was just reading a thing that said that longer lasting batteries that have better lasting life gives so much more advantage and opportunity to people who have powered limbs in the real modern world. So I don't mean to make light of this at all. This is a super relevant topic, and the ability to conveniently and easily recharge the battery that allows you to function is super relevant.
Even just like, because sometimes like you can have your cell phone charge another cell phone, or things like that. Like, is that where we're going? Where like
that is absolutely where we're going.
You're around electronics and it charges itself, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
Just allows. I mean, it means that you're more dependent on technology being around you, though. Like, yeah, just I don't know, there's some really fascinating concepts that will never be like handled by Star Wars, or it might be in a novel or something like that, but like, what?
Star Wars is too analog. You need to plug in to recharge.
Oh, you definitely do.
Not like in the modern day where you just need to hold something near something else to charge.
Well, like lightsaber batteries need to be charged. They don't need to be charged very often.
Really?
They've got I had this discussion on a podcast all about how like that's why Maul keeps on changing his lightsabers, because he never could figure out how to charge the battery.
Huh.
And so like and like that's why he doesn't use the dark saber, because he couldn't figure out how to charge it, and had this imaginary
I feel like that's a 3-panel comic strip.
I mean, we kind of went through the thought experiment of him like showing up late to the Duel of the Fates like thing, because he's like plugged into the wall, and he's like, come over here.
A USB-C adapter?
Like I've only got an iPhone lightsaber plug-in, and I
only have the 2-prong British plug-in, and I didn't bring my adapter.
I don't have my Naboo adapter. And he's like he's on Naboo, and he's like trying to charge it, and then like he's like, okay, you need to come over here to have this lightsaber duel, because I'm plugged in right now. It was a fun episode.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's Katie Horn. She's the biggest Maul stan in existence, and I hope to have her on potentially to talk about Maul in the Maul episodes that we'll be getting in the future. Maybe with you. I think you'd love her. She's amazing.
I'm a Maul rat. I'm a Maul kid. I've had so many Maul jobs in my life. I'm a big fan of half of Maul. I
mean, half of Maul is better than no Maul.
It depends which half you get.
I'm still all for the Maul legs.
Yes.
I mean, they're still in the garbage dump somewhere.
Well, we don't know. They fell down a huge.
Did they build a droid top to the Maul legs?
All we know is that they've locked on, and they're hanging from the bottom of an antenna that hangs out the bottom of the Naboo city, because it's over the waterfall anyway.
Yeah,
like it's just hanging there, waiting for the Millennium Falcon to come pick it up.
Very true.
Yeah.
We should get into the unfinished business.
Yes. we have unfinished business with Clone Wars. Let's do this.
Okay.
Scene 1, Council Room. I've been watching and playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and Mech Warrior and things like that. And all I'm like is, why does everyone have the same weird hex grid combat scenarios laid out? Like Trench and the Jedi. Everybody, like there's only one purveyor of Roll20 system or whatever it is.
Like and it's owned by Sheev Palpatine. So this is how he controls both sides.
Yes.
This makes sense. I want to know if that hex grid could be mapped to like to like X-Wing or like one of the Fantasy Flight like mini.
Oh, probably.
That'd be
not
cool.
Probably one of the 3D ones because this was a ground combat, but it looked
And they
like
showed like the whole planet of an Axis, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of did, but it kind of only showed like key, important, relevant pieces and then laid out troop formations. It was really cool. I'd love to see the actual battle plan that they had laid out play through.
Yeah, but Mace is at a loss. He's like, this is hard.
Mace said a loss, and Echo's like, well, I can do it. I'm not a liability, Rex. I'm the best chance we have to take back an Axis. Like, sure, you only just got me back. Sure, I can barely walk. I don't know how all this...
I just got this new cool armor.
Yes.
That looks cool. His outfit, and he already had the Bad Batch symbol on his chest.
Already had a skull on his chest. He's got the dark blue of Rex's unit with a Bad Batch
Hunter
logo.
like came by with a spray can and a little like skull like template and was like, there you go, buddy. You're good.
Yeah.
You almost died.
Speaking of Hunter,
Back
I feel
from the
like
dead.
he has, in the first episode, we get some great Hunter.
We had
just
nothing.
Faded. He didn't even get to pull out a knife.
He got no knife use.
No knives, no blades, no bows. Leave your weapons here.
Yeah, he got nothing. I have a lot to say about the dynamic of the Bad Batch later on. But
sure.
Tech still got a lot to do.
Tech will always have a lot to do because he moves plot forward.
He's plot device man?
He's plot device man. There was 17 scenes.
Oh, interesting. So more than any of the other ones,
yes,
hey?
So much more. And actually, some of them were very much cut, interspliced. So you'd have to literally, because it's not just one location, it would bounce back and forth between multiple locations because there were so many locations this episode.
Yeah, like they were on the one base in an Axis. They went to the droid factory. The shipyards. They went to the shipyards. They went to the command dreadnought as well. Like they went all over the place. I liked how the shipyards
locations on the dreadnought.
The shipyards had the central command bubble thing.
Let's get to the shipyards in a bit.
Okay,
because I have something I want to talk about. I
do want to talk about that. That was there's so much cool
weird.
stuff.
But all right, so the first thing is we're in the council war room. Then we're out in the hangar, we're boarding the ship, and then we're on the ship. And while this is 3 scenes, this is all just first act intro. Let's set up what do we need and how do we go get it?
Yeah, and they basically just talk about it and they talk through it. They're like, "Oh, we're going, and then then this is the plan. We're going to go there, and you Jedi go this way, and we'll go this way." And a suspicion with Echo follows him along all of these different places. Yeah.
And what do we need? A comm vault.
Oh.
What? Like, I kind of get it now because that room, when they finally get there, they're on the ship, they manage to board. We'll go back and talk a little bit about the droid interaction and the weirdness of that, and just kind of the hand waving that happened literally of one ship looking like one thing and then, oh, it's another thing. And the droid's like, oh, yeah, that's the ship.
So Mark 1s aren't smart.
No, they're not accurate. They're not smart. They're ridiculously fragile.
They must be really cheap to make.
I would have to think that they're like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, like they just try to overwhelm with numbers, like Trench's plan.
Yeah.
Because he's cool with the plan. He seems like a smart fellow because he has done his own strategy previously, even though he brags. He's like, why rely on algorithms alone? And then he's like, this plan should not fail. It's like, I don't... Okay.
So weird. Okay, so we're on the ship, and Wrecker's like, please tell me we're blowing something up, because Wrecker just hates stealth, which makes perfect sense, because he's like, what, 320, 6'4"? He wears the heaviest armor, and we always kind of wondered, why is his armor so big and bulky compared to...
see it.
Now we know why.
Yeah, we get to see it later on, which is good.
And then Hunter gets this, like, literally one line of the episode of any value where he says to Echo, you're not going to give us away. And he says, no, we're going to do this. And then he says, and the regs think we take risks.
Yeah.
So one, they get to throw their we're different from the regular clone troopers piece.
Yeah.
And this is a risky play.
Well, and it opens and shuts the relationship by basically reminding Echo at the end that he's not a regular guy anymore. So Hunter delivering both those lines at the start and the end actually makes sense.
So what's TC-159? Does that have any relevancy or significance to you?
TC-159.
Yeah. That's what the one battle droid calls the ship, and when Echo sends a remote message over, he's like, Roger, TC-159, you're clear to land. And I was like, that seems interesting. But I couldn't find any relevance to it. So if anybody else out there has it, that would be great. Then they dock, and I thought, this is so cool, because the way they flipped over, lowered it, and then landed on the bottom of the ship, and I'm guessing they cut their way in, was really interesting. Super, super cool. And then we get to the comm vault, which I was going to say looks a lot like the same location that Obi-Wan goes to in A New Hope, where he then powers down the three things along the ring, and he hides behind it when the two stormtroopers are walking by.
And then they go to like the power core eventually, like Mace does, and that also has that feeling to it.
Absolutely.
Too. Yep. So I mean, maybe it's just like by design to make it feel similar.
And then we get our first casualties of the entire episode.
Oh yes.
Because we get those gunner droids, which I didn't really see before, but they're patrolling and protecting the base, and they're kind of moving around. And then two of them get
and the Y-wings come in.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was such a really nice visual.
It was neat to see the Y-wings.
But it felt like unnecessary, because I was like, just get back to the comm vault. I want to know what a comm vault is. Because initially I heard it as like calm vault, and I was like, oh, I would love to go to a calm vault and just like zone out.
You know what that is? That's one of those places like in Japan where you're like, you go and sleep for the night in your own little isolation bubble.
Like a coffin hotel?
Yeah, coffin hotel. It's a coffin hotel. That's what those is. That's a calm vault.
That would be so much better, like marketing wise, than a coffin hotel. Come on down to the calm vault.
I don't think they call them coffin hotels, Kyle.
Oh, well, if they are, they should stop.
That's bad marketing, except for goths.
Yes. The occasional vampire.
The occasional vampire is like, finally.
Finally marketing for me. Why does my coffin vault have a window?
Just like spray paint.
Yep.
Yeah. Calm vault. I think it's because it like all of the calms for that ship and for that like campaign come through there. That
all of the
that makes sense. I don't know.
And it's a vault because it's locked down, it's protected, it's secreted away, because communications are important, and you do not want the enemy having any way of, burrowing
you saw Scarif.
Yep.
An entire paradise planet with a Spaceballs level shield around it, and the giant vault with all of the information and comms of the Empire.
Exactly.
So this seems on brand. I have no problem with it.
Yep. And we get we're now almost to the fight part, the end of the first act of this 22-minute piece, when Trench says, now I will use their arrogance and desperation to our advantage. And I'm like...
Then he calls for help. He phones a friend.
Yeah, he really does right away. Well, he's like, I've got a plan, but let's see if the algorithm has a good idea.
It's so funny.
But it's like, you literally... You're going to use your own arrogance and your own desperation to your own disadvantage.
It's weird. Yeah. He doesn't seem as smart and scary as as when like Yularen was like, oh, these strategies, I've seen them before. They're Admiral Trench. Like he was really talked up in the previous versions of him.
He felt like a spider in his web pulling the strings, waiting for you to just run into one of them, and then he was going to wrap you all up.
Now he seems kind of lazy.
And suck all the juices out, but...
Yeah, right?
I think he sucked too much juices.
Maybe he had a little bit more robot put into his brain.
Also, you can only be so awesome for so long.
Oh, no, fair.
Before somebody else who's awesome comes along and upsets your awesomeness.
Which is Echo. Echo is like the smartest person on either side.
Yep. Echo and Rex together coming up with their plans on their bunks.
Yep.
So we're in the comm vault, and Tech says, can you rig an interface? Oh, no, sorry. And Echo says to Tech, can you rig an interface? And Tech gets really huffy there.
Just like giving me orders. What?
Like, can I? More like, will I, you possible defecting
I don't
jolt
trust
head?
you.
Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's played up a little bit.
But it is cool because as soon as he jacks in, he hears like that they need to contact Skeko to make the
good timing,
algorithm for the counterattack, and he's like, "Oh, I'll just send them something else instead." And Tech's like, "No, dude, you have to bounce the signal. You have to go into the body of the email you're forwarding and make it look like it came from your boss. That way, it has more official clout. Or like drop a trace buster on it."
I was just thinking of that whole thing. This is a diversion, but this is from what movie is that? The
Trace Buster?
Yeah, it's from
that's from The Big Hit.
The Big Hit, yeah. And Kyle and I used to always like joke about like you got to put a trace buster on that. No, you need the trace buster.
So you can bust them. What's the word? Trace?
Yeah, trace. Yeah, and it's got like a very young Matt Damon in it.
Does it?
No. Sorry, Marky Mark.
Yeah, it's Mark Wahlberg.
It's got Mark Wahlberg. Sorry, yes. It's got Marky Mark, and it has what's the name?
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yeah, it's got Lou Diamond Phillips.
I don't know who you're looking for. Are you looking for Marky Mark's wife?
No, the guy who says Trace Busta.
Oh, I don't even know that actor. He's not a superstar. But it does have one of the few roles that was done by Captain Benjamin Sisko.
Yes, before he stopped acting. He was very intimidating in that one. Anyways, so yes, we make that joke all the time.
And then after they do that, it's so cool. Tech and Echo have a moment of like brotherly connection as they both realize, a super nerd. And then they both use military stoicism to nod at each other one time knowingly.
Yeah, no, you definitely got the impression like as much as they were like different, they were brothers in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that they could work together. That Echo isn't here to supplant Tech. For moving plot along, even though he totally does.
Even though like he's a better version of Tech.
I don't know about a better. He's just a different, more droid-like.
He's able to do things that Tech couldn't do.
Yeah, and Tech can definitely do things that there's no way Echo could.
Fair. Like translate live a species that they've never come into contact with.
Well, yeah, because Echo, he's now capable of communicating with computers and droids, and Tech is able to better communicate with organics, and they're both coming at it from a science approach.
Yeah. So. It feels like there's a redundancy and they needed a woman on the team.
I agree. I'm like, where are the women in Clone Wars?
We're about to see them in the next couple of episodes.
Yeah, we'll see.
No, you'll see.
Cool. I'm still going to be hesitant on that. But nonetheless.
Okay.
We're now heavily into Act 2 because it's time for some hand-to-hand combat.
Yes.
And in this scene, we get our only Republic losses in the entire thing that we get to actually see happen. 2 clones get taken out. That's it.
Yes. So, okay. But do we want to do the death count first?
Let's get to the death count.
Okay.
It's such a cool death count.
Okay.
Because
so Mace drops down.
What the heck? Mace and Obi-Wan. A kilometer fall?
Yeah, no, I mean, they're Jedi. They're cool.
I literally wrote, that is the longest fall I've ever seen a Jedi make. Like, seriously?
Well, I like this scene a lot, and I want to spend a moment and talk about it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So Mace is like...
Oh, would you like me to read it?
Yeah, I would love the quote, Kay.
My name is General Mace Windu of the Jedi Order. Important, there's a pause there.
Yes.
Like
he's like, wait a second, I gotta say I'm a Jedi.
Does he literally say like his name is General Mace Windu? Is Mace now his middle name? Is General his first?
No, General's just his honorific.
I know, but he's like, my name is General Mace Windu.
Yeah. I mean, it's like saying doctor.
Of the Jedi Order. That's right. My name is Dr. Mace. My name is Dr. General Mace Windu.
My name is...
Sir
or Professor.
Dr. General.
Yeah. Sir Dr. Mace Windu Esquire.
Yeah, well, you don't have to add Esquire if you're already a Sir, because you wouldn't have been Esquire. You're no longer Esquired. You're
right,
truly
yeah,
knighted.
no.
But nonetheless, of the Jedi Order. At this point of the Clone War, I have dismantled or destroyed over 100,000 of you Type 1 battle droids.
Oh my god.
I am giving you an opportunity to peacefully lay down your weapons so that you may be reprogrammed to serve a better purpose than spreading the mindless violence and other chaos that you have inflicted upon the galaxy.
Okay, so this whole statement.
Wow.
Okay.
First, Obi-Wan's reaction is the only reaction to this entire.
And he's like, "What?" So, okay, I have a thought. I have a question. I want to say my thought first. Okay, absolutely. So my thought. Mace had to go through sensitivity droid training.
You think?
Yes. Not all droids are bad droids, Mace Windu. He had to deliver the speech just like any person would have to deliver the speech if they went through that HR training.
Huh.
Because immediately, he doesn't even like stop. He's like, "You're surrender." And they're like, "No, Jedi, attack." And he doesn't even like try to save some of the droids or anything. It was all just words. I do think it's important because he did offer the chance for surrender, which is not something we have seen in any other episode. And this blew my mind. It was like such change from a droid dynamic thing that I had ever seen. And I don't even know if it was in the original episode.
It was amazing.
It was awesome. But it's Mace Windu delivering it. So it falls flat for me.
Really?
Because I don't know if he believes it or if it's just kind of, because like, there's been some really cool moments in canon where they actually have talked about droid rights. L3, dealing with droid rights. There's a really great part of Last Shot where they talk about these things and they're brought up and they're actually very sympathetic. Like Mon Mothma has a conversation with Han Solo in that book about treating droids with respect because they're just doing their duty as much as you're doing your duty, right? And I didn't get the impression that like it was anything but platitudes from Mace or like that he had to say those things. Maybe it had more behind it and maybe it's just how I feel about Mace in general because I feel like he's always kind of on the edge of, I don't know, making the wrong decision at any moment anyways.
Huh.
Because of how he treats Anakin because he has no compassion normally. I feel like it was a very like robotic as in like non-empathetic towards the needs of those people, which they are sentient. They do feel pain. They are, and we've talked about this even on this show already. It's crazy. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, that's how I feel. It's just I was super impressed. I loved it. It took me off guard. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. But the moment fleet like goes so quickly, and that makes me question Mace.
I wouldn't question. That's surprising. My question to you actually was, how much cooler and how much more do you love Mace Windu now? Since he obviously...
That he went through HR training?
Come on. You know that's not true. You know there's no Jedi HR, especially for one who's
you don't know that.
Who's as high up as Mace Windu?
Yeah, so our leadership always has to go through HR training.
He's already been vetted. He's already doing all of the things that are necessary. They're fighting a war. He has literally kept track.
Okay, 20%
of the things he
killed
has
them
had
still
to
right
do.
away. He didn't even like. How can we dismantle?
How did he kill them?
So they shot at him, and he was like, "Well, you've made your choice. I kill all of you."
I will point out they don't show us actually. We don't get to really see Mace Windu cutting down more than a couple of droids.
Yeah, but they're all dead by the end, and it's just them and a bunch of clones. Like 4 clones.
But how many of them are him just deflecting their blaster bolts back at them?
No, fair. That's how they fight. I know. But still.
I agree.
20%. Okay, 25%. You've argued me up a full quarter respect for Mace Windu because of how he attempts to save the lives of so many droids.
I think that where you're seeing his, it seems like
it's his resting jerk voice. Is that what you're saying?
Or it doesn't, it's like, what was the point of this?
Yeah.
Is it you're really questioning? Because they're programmed. They don't have the ability to break their programming.
Right. And he's offering to basically change who they are too, which is also kind of shifty.
Well, or to be, that's not fair. Like,
no, I know. It's just,
you're on this side. You've been given orders to kill things and work to destroy the world. You can have new orders to not kill things.
But like,
if you just lay down your arms
the
and come with
sentience
me.
of droids develops over time and develops over not getting wiped. These probably are fresh droids who have been wiped, and they're down to their base programming, which is obey the masters that they currently have. So it's like either he lacks understanding about their current situation that they have no choice, or he's just giving platitudes.
He doesn't seem, and he has never been the type to offer any platitudes ever.
That's true. He tried.
He always, but tried. I believe it's him who tells Dooku and everybody in the pits on Geonosis. He's the one who says,
"This party's over."
Yes, that's what he says, right?
That's literally what he says. Yeah. This party's over.
And then he just starts killing things.
Yes.
Yeah. So there we go. He has grown from that movie.
No, he threatens. Is it Boba Fett at the time? Or he holds his lightsaber up and he's like, no, it was Dooku. He's like, this party's over. And then like people start attacking. And then he's like, he goes and he gets shot at and he jumps off the thing. So
yeah.
Winds
up in the big combat.
Don't shoot at Mace Windu.
It's a bad idea. The guy is like the best lightsaber combat master of the
behind Kit Fisto and Yoda.
Which is just like,
and Anakin. One would argue.
Yeah, I don't know. If you have to include Anakin, then Obi-Wan's definitely better than Anakin.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Obi-Wan is 3 limbs up on Anakin.
He's smarter than Anakin. There's a difference.
So true. He's not as ruled by his emotions.
Yes.
Nonetheless, Mace Windu, I tip my hat to you.
I mean, okay. Regardless of all of my I don't like Mace Windu. Mace Windu always makes the wrong choice. Mace Windu is always hard to deal with. I did really like the fact that they included this. I felt like it was a big growth thing for Star Wars. And I love every time that they consider droids as something that has value.
This is the moment of this entire...
Yeah.
This changes Star Wars.
I mean, it was big, yes. I was still mad at Mace Windu for being like, oh, you fire me, I kill you.
Well, I mean, they did yell, blast him!
I know, but...
And 400 droids are shooting at the guy who just offered them amnesty.
I know, it's just, but they don't really have a choice either, right? So...
Also, they're not going to care. The droids are we're vastly outnumbering you. There's 20 of you. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have fire shooting backpacks that can fly around. But that's neither here nor there because there's 400 of us.
Yeah, and there was jet troopers, which was really cool.
Yes, so cool.
Yeah, I don't think we had seen them before in the Clone Wars. It's really cool, and it was very much something that leaned into the stuff that we saw in Rebels, where there was stormtroopers with jetpacks and who were based on Mandalorians and stuff like that. So it was cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's neat to see. Oh yeah, clone troopers can fly. Well, clone troopers can fly. Why haven't stormtroopers been able to fly? And then in the Rise of Skywalker, we get...
They fly now! And it's well, they kind of always flew, I guess.
Now we get First Order troopers that can fly.
Okay.
And we got droids. Everything can fly now.
I mean, R2-D2 can fly. He showed everybody.
Yes. How do we make this
He's
better?
The best. Why? Because he can fly. Because he showed everybody else to fly.
I think he's the best because we never know what he's actually said. He's that silent guy because we don't know what he said or how he said it.
Yeah.
The so silent one is always viewed to be the most intelligent.
But he is.
But we don't know one way or the other because he never says anything stupid.
You get his internal monologue in some of the books.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Weird, but fair.
And that one Poe comic. He talks with BB-8. It's very cute.
So...
Yes?
We're almost on the second act. We're moving our way through the death
I love this
bunch of droids.
So they have the plan that's Echo's the plan. And they're I don't trust you. And he's but this plan's cool. And they're yes, it is. Okay. And then Anakin lets Mace know what the plan is. Yes. And it's he tries to make it seem better because it was Echo's plan and not his plan.
Yeah.
And Mace immediately accepts that it's a better plan.
Well, I think Mace was just going to accept the plan anyway.
I mean,
he had no choice.
Yeah. But I love this interaction and the fact that Obi-Wan's like, if I know Anakin, he's got a tougher job.
If I know Anakin, we've got the easy part.
Yes, I love that. Because it was like, he knows that Anakin will always take like the lump sum if he's able to.
Yes,
right?
because Anakin says, if it makes you feel any better, it isn't my plan. Echo is drawing all the droids to your position so you can neutralize them all at the same time.
Yes.
And nobody's like, how?
Yeah, like...
Well, because it's a 22-minute cartoon. We can't get to those pieces.
I know, but it's still a good plan. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, like, you know, you draw them all into the trap and you destroy them all at once. Yes, of course. And they're like, oh, but, you know... And then, surprise bomb!
It's so, like, Tech still doesn't trust him. How do we know that's what you're really going to do? Is what Tech asks him. Like,
because I freaking said so. Yeah, it's a little jerky.
It is jerky, but it's also like, it's their only way of elevating tension. Yeah. We have to have somebody who's questioning him.
It is the only way to show character to character tension and conflict.
Yeah.
And to have that feel semi-meaningful throughout the course of the episode and actually drive the plot, right? Because without conflict, there are some people out there that are like, oh, do we need conflict? But we do need conflict or it feels less interesting. And we need to have reasons to talk about what is going on with these characters. And this is how they are showing that Echo is atoning for the things that he did not under his own control.
Or also like how he is trustworthy.
Yes.
To go back to this element of like, how do we trust Echo? Mm-hmm. Well, you have to place your trust in him in order for it to be earned.
Yes. You have to ask him to do things so that you can trust him.
You have to accept his offer.
Yeah.
And see where things go.
Yeah.
You have to give the child the knife and the onion and stand back.
Oh my God.
To see where that goes. Tonight. I'm so glad he is so small and so close to the onions and began to cry so heavily from the oils of the onions.
Yeah, so our son like really wanted to help make dinner, and so he wanted to cut the onions. He didn't realize that onions make you cry. This is a whole thing that we experienced tonight.
Yep.
That like our son wanted to help make dinner, and he's young. He's only 8, but he...
Can I cut the onions, Daddy? You bet, son. Of course you can cut the onions. Okay, I'll peel them first. That sounds wonderful. I'm cooking the pork right on the stovetop. I turn around and there he is with the knife trying to work it into the onion. His fingers underneath the knife and the onion itself. I'm like, well...
Mom, Dad, and older sister all freaking out at him attempting to do this.
I literally flash back. I'm like, I pictured Anakin lopping off 3 trench arms, and I'm like, could he lose 3 fingers?
I mean, it was a sharp knife.
It was actually not that sharp, and that was part of the detriment. But nonetheless, the onion proved too big a problem and generated too many tears that we were able to move on.
He started to cry when he was cutting into it.
I felt bad later because I was like, I had 3 stalks of celery that I could have easily given him, and he could have cut those to no issue whatsoever.
Yeah.
Instead of a big round ball that makes you cry with a giant knife.
I mean, he didn't cut off his fingers. We were all there. He is fine.
Trench isn't, though.
Trench isn't, no. So Trench's plan, discovering that this has all been a failure, was to initiate his backup plan, his trace buster.
Yes.
Which was, I'm just going to blow shit up. I'm going to blow up an Axis.
Right. That's a bit further on from where we're
No, but like that's his plan. Like when
my God. Yeah, what does he say? He says, a wise leader does not rely on completed things such as algorithms. My personal strategy for victory is through total annihilation.
He doesn't seem like that kind of guy, but I guess he is.
This is the only reason the Jedi win, is because the other guys are dumber than them.
I feel so. It's weird. So yes, he has a bomb, and that bomb is now available. And it takes 3 people to basically solve the problem of the bomb.
Yeah. I think it's because we only have 3 minutes left in the episode at that point.
I mean, yeah, like nothing, right? And so It takes Echo breaking into the system, finding the bomb code. It takes Mace on the other side of the ray-shielded bomb, using the Force.
Well, let's go back, because we're only in the second act.
Sorry.
And Echo hasn't proven himself.
Oh, right, yes.
Which is what you think this entire episode is what is going to entirely be about, right? We think Echo will prove himself that he is trustworthy, and that will be the end of it. And then we'll get a little bit of denouement. Mm-hmm. But he proves himself in the second act.
Yes.
There's still a whole third act. You're like, what else is there to do? Oh, wait. What's that look on Anakin's face?
I don't remember.
Because they realize there's the bomb there.
Mm-hmm.
Echo's taken out all 400
Yeah. Oh,
droids.
Yeah. Right. 400 droids. Yeah.
And
he's got the biggest kill count. Yeah.
And we're in the thing, and Hunter's like, well, I guess you're actually on our side. And Echo's like, well, was there ever any doubt? And Tech's like, well, some.
And admittedly, there was some doubt.
And so they're all like, this is great, this is good. Trench is like, I'm not going to rely on algorithms to do everything. I'm awesome, I'm kick-ass. I didn't write this down. Anakin's like, I'll go see about Trench in case you can't get the last digit. And gosh, does he look dark?
Oh, yeah. No, there's definitely some dark side stuff happening with this episode. But It's like he knew that Echo couldn't succeed. Because Echo gets shocked.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I'll go find Trench before I need to find Trench.
No, I'm sorry. He doesn't get shocked. Technically, the server overloaded his nervous system.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, thanks, Tech.
Thanks, Tech. A little too much juice in the battery.
Oh, my goodness.
So Anakin's like, I'm going to go and solve Trench.
Yeah, and at the beginning, you wanted to talk about the bomb and the layout of this N-axis shipbuilding.
Well, because they find out about the bomb.
Yeah.
Echo's trying to find the things. He's helping Mace through the Force of, through the ray shield around the bomb, do the little levers, and he's like, 3, 1, and they're not even alignment with logically where a 3 or a 1.
Oh yeah, they are. They all line up.
Be.
Yep.
No, because 3 is way at the bottom, and then
that's
1
where the 0 is.
Oh,
yeah. They all lined up.
It was weird. I don't know.
Also,
it looked weird.
He was having trouble because he's Mace Windu and he's all about brute force.
Yeah, he was having trouble with fine motor or mage hand.
He doesn't use a lot of fine.
It was like mage hand. It was using mage hand.
Exactly.
It was mage hand of Star Wars. And so he's trying to do the little levers and
he did. He was able to get 3187 very easily. Well, not easily, but
3187. What was the last number?
7.
3187.
So I tried to figure out what March 18th, 1977 had of relevance, or what August 31st, 1977 had for relevance, and could not for the life of me figure it out. I believe that it may have had something to do with director Brian Kalin O'Connell's birthday, but I can't confirm that one way or another.
1977 was when Star Wars was released.
Right. May 18th? I don't think so. Oh, sorry. March 18th?
No.
See, I think it has to do with somebody's birthday. Some kid's birthday for somebody on the crew or whoever was the writer. It was just written by our main 2 guy, Matt Miknovitz and Brent Friedman. So I couldn't figure out. I'm going to guess one of those 3 guys had something to do with that date being of relevancy to them.
It seems like it's a date, right?
I mean, it's Zdeno Chara's birthday. So if you're a Boston Bruins fan, then this might be the case. But that seems like a big stretch.
Yeah, Dave Filoni's a Penguins fan.
Good to know.
Yeah, massively into the Penguins.
So, anyway, 3187 is all we get to begin with.
Yeah.
Because a shock has been sent to the nervous system for our dear friend Echo.
Yeah, and then they have to carry him out. We get Anakin going after Trench, and we have kind of the third act, right?
Exactly.
And the third act consists of Bad Batch plus Echo.
Yep.
And Rex.
Yep.
Trying to escape. And we have this cool scene in the hallway with Crosshair and Wrecker doing their thing, being and I have a commentary on this moment, which is it is the most Lord of the Rings thing we see other than Ahsoka being white and coming back and kind of all of that mythological stuff, because it's Gimli and Legolas. We have the sharpshooter archer.
Yep.
And we have the brute force.
I mean, Hunter's Aragorn, if you want to stretch this one ever further.
I mean, but like they're doing their one-upmanship.
Boromir, so you have our main four.
I mean, fair, yeah. but we have this one-upmanship, and they're in competition, and they're trying to get the most droids destroyed. And how Crosshair does his thing is by setting up mirrors.
Oh my!
And it literally just keeps on going and destroys all of these droids, which I've never I didn't think blaster bolts left the body.
No, I think that they do. I don't think he just shot one bullet or one blast, one pulse. He shot multiple.
Okay.
And then they continued.
Yeah, and then they continued on and like as things fell and it didn't disrupt. And so like he set up like 3 mirrors basically to reflect, and like it's perfect.
Welcome to Labyrinth,
we're
going to kill the devil with the sun.
Exactly. Like it's literally Legolas, right? Like how exact it is. And then Wrecker like, and like smashing his way through the hallway.
It's such a cool scene.
It's so cool. Like I loved both of these, but it felt exactly like that Legolas Gimli like friendship.
So which did you like? Which was more shocking and cooler of the two?
I really liked Wrecker.
Yeah.
Like I really liked how it executed and how like he just basically like bore down that hallway and like destroyed all those droids.
I liked how he had 3 on his shoulder and then pulled his blaster gun, his pistol, and shot them while they were on his shoulder and dumped them off and carried more up and then spun around. It was just, you didn't get a sense to see all of the physicality of it because he's just bull rushing a corridor.
Yeah.
And it was all of the camera angles were up close, really tight, personal on him, where all of the camera angles for Crosshair were back further. You could just see the sheer dramatic wipeout of the ones that Crosshair took out.
Yeah.
Would you like their tallies? Because Wrecker lost because
I would like, oh my God, I would love their tallies.
Dip of his shoulders.
Yeah.
Wrecker took out a total of 14 in his just the single corridor smash up with the beginning lead up to that. Then Crosshair, he takes out 4 with his gun. Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah.
And then he starts throwing things.
And then slides down the hallway.
Running down the hallway, throwing multiple mirrors. I wish I'd kept track of how many mirrors he threw, because it's like, how many do you have? And they felt like, there's like that stack of pylons and it just never seems unending. Was there dropping pylons off down the road? Like, how many do you have? Well, apparently he has a pylon stack worth, and he takes out 25 in that corridor.
Wow. He really won.
Yeah. So his total was 29.
Yeah.
And Wrecker's total was 14.
Yeah.
Which is
poor
double.
Wrecker.
I can't.
Like, it was cooler though.
Yeah.
I liked the like shots of what they did with him.
Oh, it was amazing.
Okay, so they escape.
Yes.
And we have the Anakin scene.
Wow.
Yeah. You're a Jedi. I don't have those weaknesses.
He doesn't say it like that. I don't have those weaknesses.
Like, Anakin.
He learns so well. He learns all the lessons his teachers tell him.
Like, Jedi, no attachments. Don't give in to passion. He's like, no.
Palpatine's like, give in to passion. It'll, let your emotions rule you. They are the stronger way. And it's funny too, because Qui-Gon was constantly saying in The Phantom Menace, feel, don't think, use your instincts.
Yeah. Be mindful of
the living force.
Your emotions. Be mindful of the living force. Be aware of things.
No wonder Mace Windu is always on location. Like, he never gets to be like, I know that in one of the books, the Claudia Gray book, he gets an offer to join the council.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it was under protest.
Yeah. Like, people, like, if we must.
Yeah. I know you read all the books and understand the true Jedi way, but this is the political Jedi way now, and you're not really adhering to our true political propagandist measure of teaching. We've removed a lot of those things that you talk about from the liturgy we teach the younglings.
We're now dogma and not the true intention of the Force.
Yeah, we're not the Republican Party of the 80s. We're the Republican Party of the 2010s. Here we deny climate change and droid rights.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yes, so no, Anakin definitely turns dark here.
And I'll tell you one other thing.
Okay.
Anakin turns dark and it's like, what is going on? Is this even Star Wars? Because suddenly there's railings everywhere.
Suddenly there's railings.
Like everywhere.
There was a lot of...
Every single thing has a railing.
But was it all Republic stuff or was it on the droid ship too?
Does it really matter? Star Wars is really not railing friendly.
No, it's true. Yeah.
It's all in an axis because in the ship there was no real...
I mean, that was Republic protocols. Pre-Empire. This makes sense to me.
I don't know. There's
a committee of railings.
There's no railings on Naboo.
This is the first thing that Palpatine got rid of when he became Emperor was like, screw, we're going to cut the committee of railings. It's just like cutting the pandemic committee.
It was... There was so many railings, and they were well colored and marked in bright yellow to say, no, this is an elevator that goes up and down, and we don't want people to accidentally fall off of it.
I think that's important.
Oh
yeah, there was railings all around that.
Everything that Mace Windu interacts with in an axis in that plant has railings. He goes up to the bomb, railings all around him.
I'm so impressed with the Republic.
Like, just whoever that architect was. Because obviously, no railings anywhere else. You go to Coruscant, there's no railings. There's no railings anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
And listen, Sheev Palpatine maybe it is Palpatine's belief that railings are for idiots. So I don't...
It's like,
idiots are good to ball because there's no railings on Naboo.
It's like Darwin.
He's the senator of Naboo.
It's like he believes that only through having the weak fall off of high places do the strong survive.
Sharp wind gusts, small slight people. He has no respect. I say that from personal experience because as you had just given birth to Will, Robin is 2 years old. We're walking across a crosswalk and a gust of wind at 80 kilometers an hour picked my daughter almost out of my arm and swung her across my body and lifted her over 2 feet in the ground. And it wasn't until I was able to turn and create a windshield to pull her back in. I would have lost her. She'd have gone flying off into the distance. And then we would have had one kid to have trouble cutting onions and cry about it.
She can cut onions.
Well, yeah, because she didn't get thrown away.
She didn't get thrown away with the wind. Yeah, no, I mean, railings are just not...
Just Palpatine respect the wind.
Do you know the colors of the wind, Sheev Palpatine? He needs to have his love moment where a woman is like, or man, I don't care.
Right.
I mean,
or
Snelps,
clone.
right? Yeah, Snoke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A woman or a man is like, whatever his choice is like, do you know the colors of the wind? And then he has his like redemption love moment. This is what's missing from Palpatine's life. Yeah, so that scene was incredibly dark where we see the effects of the war on Anakin. We see how much he's like, because he has heard from Yularen like the whole war, how bad Trench is.
Yep.
And but like, nobody's going to fault him for making that choice.
Yep. It's like he even kills Trench in self-defense.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Because he gets shocked, right?
He's in the process of being shocked by Trench's
Because he disables him basically with taking out his arms.
Yep.
Cutting off arms is like a thing.
Yeah. And they're droid arms. So they're not, they don't have any rights.
Such a sigh.
Exactly. So, okay. Trench is dead. Anakin kills him.
He gets the number. He tells Mace.
Yep.
Mace solves the problem. Stops the thing from blowing up. They save the shipyard.
But Anakin looks at Trench's seat upon the dreadnought.
And he's like, aha.
He pushes a little thingy and out pops a little...
Because he knows Trench is going to do...
Communicator.
He's got the little, like, this is his final solution for everything is to blow stuff up. He's like, Wrecker's going to be happy. I love that scene. That moment.
Yeah. The total annihilation moment.
Yeah. Like he's like, now I realize Trench believes in total annihilation, so he's got to have a backup plan for blowing up all the ships too. And so he finds the little button and he brings it to Wrecker, and it's like Wrecker now is in love with Anakin Skywalker. We can say that, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think we can.
Cool.
Fairly.
He blows them up. He blows up the ships. It explodes everywhere. It's very pretty.
Yes.
From an explosion perspective. They're escaping.
We get Wrecker going, ooh. So,
ooh.
Of course we. And then we get our sunset scene.
Yeah.
We know this is the end because the sun is setting. In the very first episode,
was the sun
we're
rising?
there on the hangar, and the sun is rising when we meet the Bad Batch, and now the sun is setting on an axis when we leave the Bad Batch and walk away. And we see them saluting as opposed to them arriving.
They don't like accolades. They don't like medals.
Nope.
Clones get medals.
You know what they do like? The thrill.
The thrill. Clones get medals, Kyle.
Yep.
I think that's important to state. They get pay.
They
potentially.
Must. I don't know, but they get medals.
They get medals. They get accolades.
Yep.
They get awarded for things.
Ceremony. It's important.
Yes. Pomp and circumstance.
So then Rex says, Echo, you and I go way back. If that's where you feel your place is, then that's where you belong.
Mm-hmm.
Is he like Mace Windu? Does he feel he has to say that because he's had HR training and he has to say that sort of thing?
He doesn't want to say that. He wants Echo to go and be his top bunkmate.
Yep. Or bottom bunk. I mean, whatever, whichever way you want to go.
He's on the bottom bunk, though. Does he really want to move for Echo?
Well,
I guess he would move for Echo.
There weren't top bunks and bottom bunks in the
thing.
There
were, yeah. Yep.
There are now. Okay, sure.
Yep.
In the scene with Cody and him, there wasn't a top bunk.
I thought there was.
No,
yeah.
It's just one bunks.
I don't remember. He wanted him to be his bunkmate. He wanted him to be his friend. He wanted him to come with him. And he realized that Echo's path was different. And he let him go very quickly.
Yep. Well, you have to because it's a 22-minute
Well, cartoon. And Echo already had the Bad Batch symbol on him. It's already rebranded. It's hard to go back from that.
Damn that. I kind of wish they'd ended on the sad look on Rex's face as he goes back to his platoon, his squad, who are probably like, where have you been? But they end on the salute from the Bad Batch.
Which was okay.
It's all right.
I think I agree with you. It would have been more powerful because this is all about Rex, right? Yeah.
I know that they call this the Bad Batch story.
But it's all about Rex.
But none of those characters had any growth or change in their dynamic. Rex is the only one that grew. And then in this episode, he gets kind of relegated to Echo because we see Echo has returned and now we're dealing with Echo's elevation, in other words.
I mean, semi-atonement in the eyes of the other clones and like coming back into being usefulness and like finding his path forward, which was what Rex says at the end.
So we're now at the end and I've probably held everyone in.
Yeah. And our death count has come in.
Yes.
Over the wire.
So the death count for this episode is huge.
I mean, yeah.
But if you take out the 400 that are killed in the attack that Echo does.
We count the ships, the side, like the separatist ships.
Right.
We don't know how many droids are on there or whatever.
Right.
Trench.
But like I said, I only count that which we see actually destroyed on camera.
Okay.
And we did see essentially all 400 of those droids get taken out by that surge of energy.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
And the reason it's 400 is because there are four sides. They are 20 across and 5 deep.
Okay.
So there's 100 on each of those 4 sides of the square. So there
was the room that was filled with droids before.
Exactly. All of those are dead, but we don't hardly see any of them go down
on screen.
On screen.
Yeah, they're just laying down. He used night juice on them.
Yeah. The biggest, most traumatic droid death moments of the entire episode is Wrecker's run down the hallway and Crosshair's shots into the mirrors.
Yeah.
Those are the biggest death scenes in the entire episode.
And we saw some some clones too, right?
2 clones. And they're taken out in the quickest of...
So how many droids?
So, okay. We've those 2 gunners that I talked about before. And then a whole slew of battle droids. So we'll come back to those. How many tactical droids do you think die?
At one point there was a bunch of them. 10.
No, there's just 2.
Oh.
There's 1 on an Axis, and there's 1 that we see on Trench's ship.
Oh, wait, the tactical droid that was next to him. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought you were thinking of the super battle droid.
No. Steven Seagal, if you put him in a visor, like regular current day Steven Seagal, if you put him in a visor and told him to act condescending and spoke in a robot voice.
Yes.
This is the tactical droid.
And question your every...
I mean, that's Steven
thing.
Seagal.
Yeah.
How many super battle droids?
10. That's what I thought you were saying first.
Right. Sorry. It's 6 total super battle droids.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to get these all wrong.
Of course. Yeah. It's a good guess. Yeah. There's 1, and then there's a group of them on the ship that all get taken out.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. And then forgive me if I'm wrong, but Trench has 2 commando droids. Is that what those are called? They're the ones with the much more humanistic head. And they're usually there as
those
super
are
defender ones. They're the ones that do flippy backflips and jump around and whatnot.
Yeah, and they're like General Grievous's guards, right?
Yes. I think those are called commando droids.
I don't know.
I didn't look it up. The 2 of them get taken out. One by the net from the one, and then the other, Anakin just picks him up and throws him against a wall, and he falls to pieces. And then we got our 2 gunner droids, which will get wiped out.
Bunch of ship droids.
Ship droids. We don't see any ship droids get taken out. No. Thankfully. None of those really cool.
They remind me of Cylons.
Yeah, absolutely. They're totally Cylons.
Yeah.
But
how many Mark 1s?
Mark 1s was 466 battle droids.
Mace Windu.
400 from Echo.
Oh, right. Yeah. 66.
And 66 from everybody else.
Everybody else. Yes. Obi-Wan.
We actually don't see Mace Windu kill hardly any. I think it's 3 total.
Wow. So
one that's about to take out Obi-Wan.
100,003. Yeah.
But I mean, that's just what we saw.
Yeah. He presumably said to go more.
And then we get the remainder of the death count today is 1 separatist fleet.
Yes.
1 Admiral Trench.
Yes.
3 Trench arms.
Yes.
And the light side in Anakin Skywalker.
This is like if we're gonna video game the mechanic, which I hate to do, but I'm gonna do it for this.
Sure.
He definitely took a slot down. Like he made the bad video game RPG choice.
I think he's about to go and see Padme very soon.
Yeah.
And Padme is going to sense the wrongness in him at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you're going down a path I can't follow.
It's getting
buddy.
close to the end of the war, right? Like, that's what we're saying.
You didn't put that spider out into nature when you found him in your basement. You
squished him. Yeah. I didn't want you to kill the spider. I wanted you to get rid of the spider.
Agreed. So, this episode was directed by Brian Kalin O'Connell. Who are you, Brian Kalin O'Connell? He's only directed 2 things ever.
You couldn't find any information on him?
No, he's not got any connections to Star Wars really at all. The last thing he directed was 1 episode of something called TV Funhouse in the year 2000. And now this. He has no connection to any other Star Wars things, really, because he was in the art department for Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, like as a ILM concept illustrator.
So maybe it's through ILM?
And it goes back to 2003. And then he was in the art department for like Unbreakable and the Wild as storyboard artist and comic book illustrator.
Do you think he was from like maybe when they earlier produced it and that's why he's getting the credit for it?
I have no idea.
Huh?
He is the named director on this episode.
And it's written by the same 2.
And it's written by our pair of guys.
Yeah.
And that's it. So,
is there anyone else you want to highlight this episode?
So yeah, let's talk about some cool other things that were going on in this arc, this series so far. Let's talk about Production Council.
What is that? I have no idea what that is. I'm excited.
Okay, so the production council is the person that'll tell a director whether a scene should be cut for a lack of appropriate clearance rights, or reminds a producer that the workday has to end after 12 consecutive hours due to guild regulations. So they're always the ones who are telling people about the legal ramifications of what they're doing. They're like a counselor, though.
They're like a compliance officer in a way.
But they're also like a guidance counselor, because they have to address the client's judgment delicately to provide sound advice with the intent of establishing a long-standing relationship based on trust. In counseling, they have to listen as intently as they speak so that they appreciate the anxieties of production as much as they understand the legalities of it, and they have to respect the mindset of their clients just as much as we hope they respect ours.
So who is the production counselor?
Her name is Noreen Z. Hoke.
This is so fascinating.
Yes, she was the production counsel for 16 episodes of Forces of Destiny, 18 episodes of Resistance, and 4 episodes of Clone Wars. She also works, I don't know if Pop Sugar's a firm as well as a big media conglomerate, but she also worked there and came over.
Maybe
at
she's
the
like
time
a
of Forces of
consultant
Destiny.
or something.
Well, I think that she has been brought into the group that is working in here because she was part of the Forces of Destiny crew, came over and did Resistance,
interesting,
and now is doing Clone Wars. So there you go.
There's a job out there for somebody who's listening to this podcast who's like, I really care about the production. But I also care that the employees are being treated well and that they're actually doing what they need to do according to.
But it also has to do with rights. You don't have the rights to that song.
Oh, yeah.
Or you don't have the rights to that character. Or you don't have the rights to
or
these
this will
other
push
things.
us over the,
So it's
the PG rating that we want to have for...
It's a production's legal counsel. It's legal counsel for the specific production itself. Cool. And they're a requirement to have. And do they
have to be? Do they actually have to have like legal counsel?
Yeah, it's
like they're actually like on the bar and everything.
She's a lawyer with designation. Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
Otherwise, you could not be counsel.
Fair.
There you go.
True. Yes.
And I would imagine that being production counsel for an animated show might be a bit easier because you have more control. You're not necessarily
and they know things way far in advance because of the animation part of it, right?
Exactly. So there's also.
It's probably easier than a variety show or something that's live taped.
Yes.
Yeek.
I couldn't even imagine. Or something like Survivor. That'd be cool. I'd like to talk to like production counsel for Survivor because that's probably a very different.
It's probably very difficult and they've probably had to deal with so many unique situations.
I don't doubt. As opposed to production counsel for an animated show where you own all the IP for what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, okay. I have a gigantic list of other people I'd like to talk about for this episode as well. But I will just sum them up because it's 110 names in the credits.
Wow.
All 110 names in the credits are all employees and people who work for a company called CGCG Inc.
Okay.
You've probably seen CGCG Inc. on a ton of things.
Yes.
And you don't know at all what that is.
I have no idea.
So CGCG Inc. is a company located in Taiwan that is the leading provider of CG animation for US and Euro markets. They were established in 1988, and a lot of the same people are still there. They do Tales of Arcadia, Star Wars Resistance, Monster Hunt 2, Troll Hunters, Rebels, Clone Wars. Since 2008, they've been doing Clone Wars. How to Train Your Dragon on Netflix, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Vic the Viking, and all of the Lego DC stuff.
So it's all like the 3D animation styles that are coming out recently. It's all those styles.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's 110 of the computer graphic animators and all of the back-end people. So when they say and they send the storyboards and they say, this is what we want to do, they send that out to CGCG Inc. and they do all of the computer graphic piece of this.
Of the animation. Wow, that's cool.
I
want to go to Taiwan and visit that shop. I think it would be cool.
They are a division of Wang Film Productions, and they have between 500 and 1,000 employees to date.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a really big piece of animation there.
Yep.
All of those.
And 110 people were involved in this. And you will see those 110 names on every single episode.
That's cool.
They have to include that because CG Inc. It's just like when they use Weta or ILM, and they have that huge list of people that were associated with the company. So basically, and I doubt that Star Wars, like Brian and all of the other people who are working on the story, and then all of the producers, Carrie Beck and whatnot, I don't think that. Like, I think that their job is literally to say, CG, tell us all the people that were involved in this so we can put them in the credits.
Yeah.
And then CG sends them the list.
That's cool.
So that's what I really wanted to talk about today, was just who Production Council is and what it does and why they come up in the credits.
Yeah.
And who this CG Inc. is and why the credits are so long, because these different companies, they want to reflect and represent the people that were involved in the production for the work that they did.
That's awesome. So overall, the arc itself, we talked a little bit about Rex, it being the focus, as well as Echo, and this relationship and the kind of tension, not really tension, but it's like resolving like who you were before, who you are now after I've saved you.
Yep.
And then who you are to become is your own person outside of the fact that I had saved you. It's just, I feel like it was successful for what it seemed like it needed to do, which is show that Echo and Rex kind of had this, you can't save everybody in the end, and you can't keep everybody with you, and you have to let people go kind of messaging in the end. And I just wonder, what is the big thing that we as Star Wars fans, because to me, what's fascinating about Star Wars is that you can talk about the meta, you can talk about the story from a high level perspective and be like, look how these things parallel, and what do they say? What is this trying to say to us as Star Wars fans?
Gosh, I hope that's not a question for me directly.
It was, as a part of a discussion. Like, to me,
yeah,
I think it's trying to lead into the fact that Rex is going to have to let go of Anakin, because Anakin's going to, so what we know will happen is that later on this season, Ahsoka is going to feel Anakin change or die or leave. Because as soon as he turns into Darth Vader, she doesn't sense him any longer.
Yeah.
We know that from future canon.
He went down a path no one else could follow.
Exactly. She knows he's no longer around. And so it's like, what does Rex choose to do in that situation? And we're going to see that from Rex's perspective, I think, because he goes with Ahsoka to Mandalore.
Yeah. It'll be great if that's what we get to see, because it'll do a real tie-in between Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah.
Rex is the one through line connection, I feel.
It's no longer the Skywalker saga, it's now the Rex saga.
Yeah, hey.
Like, what is this trying to tell us?
Well, I think these 80 minutes are trying to tell us that war is fought by individuals, and war is more than just a hilarious death count.
True.
But because it's a kids show and it's animated and it's not meant for, and it's meant for younger people like 8 and up, they're not going to give you names or faces to those people who are lost.
It's so yeah, you have to view it from that perspective, which is that what was the important thing is that Echo went missing. Through effort, they were able to bring him back.
Yeah.
But he was never the same.
Effort was and significant loss.
And he was a transformed version of himself that no longer was on the same path.
He was no longer a reg.
He was now a person that recognized that they were already dead, with the skull and the symbolism on that.
Yeah. He's already died once.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't need recognition. Almost unnamed soldier type level, because nobody knows about the Bad Batch. Nobody knows what they do. They don't want acknowledgement. They just want to do things to feel alive. Interesting.
Yeah, Star Wars is so strange at times. It's war stories for kids.
Is it?
But it's Star Wars. And this is like about the frontline troops of the wars. And we get to see the different types of wars as they happen. It's all for kids.
You know, for kids.
So to look at all the things that are unsaid and between the lines and whatnot. And that's why I think that Mace Windu speech,
the Clone Wars episode 7 didn't come back because kids were watching the Clone Wars a little bit. It came back because there was a very dedicated group of fans that loved it and watched it on repeat ad nauseum on Netflix. That's why it came back. It was one of Netflix's most popular shows for rewatchability.
Sure, but at the same time, it's still an animated cartoon that has to meet certain credentials and certain
Yes, it's still meant for kids. Star Wars is always meant for kids.
Well, not always, but yes.
It should be meant for kids.
Agreed.
It should be meant to show that transition to adulthood, which is what Echo went through in a way, because Rex is like his older brother and he has now gone off on his own. It was a transition to him being on his own and his, initiation into being his own person, separate from the nursing, the apron strings of Rex.
Yeah.
That's what is being said.
We don't lose anybody in this arc.
No.
And we lose people on the reg all the time. And maybe that's the Bad Batch is special because nobody dies. They're not regs. But it feels weird when they go in and everybody's hunky-dory and there's no loss. Because war has a lot to do with loss. Yeah.
I mean, but I think that this was, Rex dealing with the loss of his friend before. Like, he was still sad about Echo.
Yeah. Loss.
At the start of it.
Reclamation, reuse, recycling. All 3 R's for Echo. And then loss again.
Yeah. And that even if you get something back that you want, it won't be the same.
Yeah.
That's what's being said. It must be.
But you don't get him back.
No.
Because he went off. He took the path less chosen. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, this arc of 4 about the Bad Batch is about Rex. But in this episode, it's not about Rex at all. Because the reclamation of Echo was Rex's motivation.
Yep.
And that took 3 episodes to get to. This arc
But it was about Echo and Rex, because it's about Echo from him coming back from the dead and becoming who he can be now.
Yep.
And it's about Rex accepting that once you lose somebody, it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same as it once was.
Yeah, nobody even tried to force old-time habits, old-time...
No, they just sort of accepted that Echo is no longer going to be the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they got him cool, new kick-ass armor.
Unique.
To support
just like
him
the Bad Batch.
What had to be. He doesn't have an arm. But they are all just tools in the war. Some of them are more obviously tools in the war, like Trench and Wat Tambor.
And Echo's arm.
Yeah. Am I in a rush to go watch this again? No, not in the same way I have been for other arcs in Clone Wars.
Like the Mortis arc.
Yeah. Well, stories that told something that were relevant and had meaning and a moral behind them that was a little more clear-cut and a little more, here's the sense of, if you don't do this, then this. And there's like morality stories, right? And we don't get that in these
Not
episodes.
even like morality, but also like, what are the... Like Clone Wars has a lot of cautionary tales in it, as well as a lot of like, we're not going to explain it to you. Watch it and think about it and walk away. And I mean, I think I'll be thinking about this episode and what they're trying to say. I think I know what it is, but somebody might have a very different opinion on what it was trying to say, because Star Wars is always trying to say something.
Yeah. It is sad, too, that the Bad Batch was relegated to just taking out a bunch of regular old battle droids. They didn't even have to fight anything sort of unique or special.
Like their Bebop and Rocksteady versions of the
maybe
Foot Clan.
They could have just been the ones that took out Trench.
I mean, that would have been cool. Yeah. It definitely felt like they were there, but they weren't the focus. So, I don't know. I mean, some small critique on it. It worked successfully if you view it from the perspective of Rex. If you're viewing it as, oh, these Bad Batch episodes, and aren't they cool? They are cool, but they are foils and they are support. They are not the focus of these episodes.
If you'd just taken out Anakin and had Hunter go off and do all of the things, Hunter with his electro knife could easily have done all of those things with his sensing and whatnot. In this last episode, given Hunter the opportunity to take out Trench, I think I would look at this a little more, because we already know these things about Anakin.
Yeah, it just feels like we're just going to get more and more reiteration of where Anakin is at, because this is supposed to lead us right directly into Revenge of the Sith, right? So
exactly.
This we didn't have trouble on Utapau or the Crystal Crisis arc, which is all the Utapau stuff with Obi-Wan and Anakin trying to find the crystal, and they have a lot of heart-to-hearts about where they are. We don't get that, so maybe we do need this moment of darkness leading into Revenge of the Sith to remind people where he is at, because I don't know how much we get in the later episodes with the Siege of Mandalore and the Ahsoka episodes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah. Overall, fun.
I totally give it 4 Bad Batch clones out of 4 Bad Batch clones.
And 1 bonus Rex. Oh, sorry, 1 bonus Echo. 1 bonus Echo.
I guess in the end.
Yeah, in the end. They buy 4 batch clones, 4 Bad Batch clones, get 1 Echo for free.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. We are about to head into a new arc, and this is, I'm going to call it the Ahsoka Alone, and she's not alone. Ahsoka on her own, but she is not alone arc, in that she is just, where this takes place is she is just leaving the Jedi Temple. We might even get a reshot of that scene. I don't know, maybe from her perspective, walking down the steps of the Jedi Temple. And where does she go on Coruscant after she leaves? We've heard...
I'm hoping the casino do some slots.
Be like, what are all the things that you wanted to do as a Jedi, but you couldn't do because of their dogmatic rules?
Get some street meat. Head over to that pizza parlor that, your master was always saying, don't go there. That's just trans fats you don't need in your life.
I don't think Anakin would have cared. And the episode is called Gone with a Trace. And Trace is a character. We find that out.
Cool.
And the actual description is, Ahsoka befriends a pilot, but must hide her Jedi past while trying to stop a dangerous droid. Ooh. Yes. So Gone with a Trace. And it seems like they might get involved in the underworld of Coruscant, which is cool. And like the down below streets.
I hope there's some gonk droids involved. I always feel like gonk droids are involved in the underworld on Coruscant.
Like they transfer data and their power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So originally this was presented to Ashley Eckstein with Pablo Hidalgo and Dave Filoni as the Lost Ahsoka episodes or arc leading into what happened. So this is all this stuff that they covered. I think it was like 2 celebrations ago. It was Celebration Europe, I think. And they had a panel basically like, whatever happened to Ahsoka. Because at the time, Ahsoka was in Rebels and she had just, died, quote unquote, and there was all the Ahsoka lives ? And then they had this basically semi-memorial, and they showed all this behind the scenes stuff of what the stories that they were working on that they never got to produce. And so this and the Siege of Mandalore all came from that kind of thought structure that they had in mind.
And it's like all the Disney Infinity models we got to see 2 years later after they canceled Disney.
Exactly.
Infinity. We're like,
like, so we have like
Doctor Strange would have been so cool.
Exactly. And one of the critiques that I have mentioned in the past is that they bring up the fact that Ahsoka had a boyfriend. Right after she leaves the Jedi Order, she gets a boyfriend. She has a monkey on her boot when she gets her new outfit. There's like all of these things.
Actual monkey?
Like a monkey design.
Oh, okay.
Like, so there's this really cute story where Dave Filoni's like calls her up and is like, so, if Ahsoka had an animal on her boot, what would it be? And she's like, a monkey. And Dave's like, I hate monkeys, but he likes this, like Ashley Eckstein so much that he gave her a monkey on Ahsoka's boot.
Cool. Call her Ahsoka Din from now on.
Ahsoka Din.
She's just a street rat.
She's just a street. I don't buy that. If only they look closer.
Let's not be so hasty.
Exactly. But so she had a boyfriend, but from my understanding, they've replaced her quote unquote boyfriend with 2 sisters. So it's
really?
Yes.
Huh. Just so you know, that's not how the world works. You don't get to replace a boyfriend with 2 sisters.
But like, I'm just calling him the boyfriend because he existed in former concept / story room stuff, and now no longer exists. And now there's 2 sisters that are her friends, right? So I want to see how this plays out, because to me, this is Ahsoka's journey and her threshold into adulthood, and choosing to go with 2 girls that are her friends rather than having a boyfriend is just like a really different choice. And
right. It's the sisterhood of the white lightsaber pants.
Exactly. Sisterhood of the traveling night sister pants or something.
Or are they night sisters?
No, they're just under. I thought that would have been cool.
That would have been so cool.
Yeah.
That would have been so cool.
So cool. Yeah. But so this has a lot of history. You can go and watch those videos and see the past celebration stuff. Just look for the like Ahsoka panel from 2 celebrations ago, and you'll see all of the stuff associated with it. It was there's a lot of information that they have, a lot of concept art that you can now see like coming to life. So if you're really interested in that, I would say check it out, because that's what we're leading into, this Ahsoka's alone arc. And then the Siege of Mandalore, which we're also getting kind of all of, which we also saw a ton of concept art for when that panel came out.
And I'll also point out, it's pretty neat. IMDb has now put a question mark after season 7 for Clone Wars.
Officially, yeah.
Question mark there.
I mean, because there's talk and rumor that what they might do is just go back and tell more Clone Wars stories, because it's non-linear and they don't have to necessarily stop telling stories.
Exactly.
It's one of the weirdest beneficial things about having a non-linear story is like, it doesn't matter. They don't have to end it.
Right.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, final sign-offs, accolades, medals, that's not really my thing. But the thrill of watching next week's episode, that's my thing.
Yeah, seeing brand new Clone Wars that we have never seen or heard really hardly anything about, and know what's going to happen. To me, that's really exciting.
I also just really want to know what Trench's final words were going to be before Anakin cut off those 3 arms. Because he says, Dooku would kill me for losing an axis. And you think I won't? You're a Jedi. You're no what?
Sith.
You think?
Dark Lord?
You're no killer? I don't think.
Maybe
Trench
respond to this episode and tell us what Trench was going to say.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle. Thank you for joining me for this episode and all these others. Where can people find you online if they are looking for you?
Well, I don't have a arm that is a computer interface, but my phone is pretty much attached to my hand most of the time, and you can find me on Twitter at TavernTalesDM.
Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Thank you for listening to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host. Our music is orchestral music composed by Christy Carew for What the Force. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/whattheforce. We'd like to thank all our patrons, especially those who love and are obsessed with What the Force. Melody, Night Huntress, In Wild Space, Susan, Jessica, Brad, Anna Perez, Macau Mom, Neil, and James. Make sure you like and subscribe on your podcast app of choice or on YouTube. Leaving a 5-star review on iTunes helps other people find the show. You can connect with us on Twitter at What the Force Show, What the Force Podcast on Facebook, or on our website, whattheforce.ca. We also have a new Discord. Links are available in the liner notes. Feel free to reach out and start a conversation. Cheers.